Hello, welcome to my channel Conscious Growing. I'm Matthias. So today I want to talk about one of the maybe most important aspects of recovery. And I guess it takes a little bit of time to understand this. This is something you can't see in the very beginning, but in the later stages of recovery, this is a very important aspect from my perspective. And what I mean is, when you end up in a state of anxiety, chronic symptoms, even depression, and you feel like you have been sucked out of the world and feeling not being part of the world, the society, your environment anymore, you build up strategies to deal with them, you isolate yourself, in many cases, people stop working because they're not able to. So the world becomes very small, in other words. And what's happening then is that in this small world, everything seems to be a threat all of a sudden. The most simple things, the things you have done in the past, they are not able anymore, or they seem to cost lots of effort. And when these states have been very severe, you might have been bedbound, and it seems like there's no way out of it when you're in the thick of it. So while this world is shrinking, our focus is also changing. And I want to talk about creativity and how important it is. And because what happens, we end up in consumption. And I mean, we are starting to collect information in the beginning. Why have I ended up in this state? And what are the solutions? So, consumption and more consumption. And by collecting all these materials, all these videos, all these books you might have read with some offered solutions, you realize that it's not so easy to escape from this state, and it takes some time to recover. It takes some time to progress your emotions. It takes some time to become your old self again, the carefree self. But right now it feels like there are big clouds, and the only aim is to get out of it. So consumption plays a very big role, and it's needed, of course. There's no other way than to collect informations. But then on a certain point you want to implement them. And here's the point. The consumption itself is creating something you have to be very careful of. And I don't want to frighten anyone here, but what I mean is, here is Matthias, for example. And Matthias is trying to get rid of his symptoms. Matthias is trying to get a solution for his states. So he collects from outside. this strategy and that strategy. You have to feel, yes, you have to face your symptoms, you have to be compassionate, you have to, what else? Lots of other offers. And some of the ways out there, they make it complicated. You run a full program and you have to do the steps in the morning and you have to do your routine in the morning. So everything comes from outside and you're trying to follow as good as you can, and then you sort things out and then you see, okay, this worked and this doesn't work and this is a little bit better, and then I'm feeling some hope again because this seems to work for me, until I realize 3 weeks later, no, it wasn't the right thing. I'm still in this state and this kind of anxiety is still there, so it didn't really work for me. And then what happens? Consumption. So we're trying to find the next solution. We're trying to find the next key. And you think there might be some kind of a key component that is missing, and then you keep on looking and then you keep on going to find something that works for you. And this is understandable, of course. And what I can say here is, one of the keys for me is to stick to some symptoms, to stick to some principles, I want to say. Means when you find something that makes sense to you, then don't be impatient. Then really implement and really stay on course. And give yourself some time not to look too much left and right. Stick to some simple principles and do them for a couple of weeks or months. And if you don't see any progress, okay, skip it. But if you see that there's progress, and if you realize, oh, there is some progress, it's still a roller coaster, but there is some progress. If you feel this, stick to these principles. Don't look left and right. Don't end up in consumption again. Not too early. Be a little bit patient with some principles. Because I think one of the things that really distract us are this looking around, picking something from here, picking something from there, and this one said this, something this more specific about anxiety, and this. And you have to see whatever you consume, it's always based on the story that person is telling you. So all the videos I make here, they're all based on my personal experiences. And I have to find my way how to deal with difficult emotions, difficult sensations. I just can do it as good as I can. So what I mean, on one hand, we really want to find a way back to our own means and our own skills we have and our self-trust we have. And that means to see that at a certain point you're the only one who can solve this, if there's something to solve. Yeah, but you know what I mean, like in sense of response, how you respond. And by saying this, now we make the jump to creativity. So when you have been in consumption for a while, when you are just trying to manage your symptoms and the state you're in, then this is your main focus. It became your main focus. And your own skills are somewhere. You almost forgot about them. And I think the main step to recovery is to start to be creative again, to become yourself again. Because, yeah, it might feel difficult, and it is difficult to, to reverse this process, because you have been in the thick of it, and sometimes we think we just need to get the right information and learn enough, and with time the system will calm down, it will slow down. But it's not like that. It's a proactive process at a certain point, and your own creativity is part of it. So to give an example, for me to make this video is a part of my recovery, because I'm creative. And I've done these videos, especially in the beginning, when I felt awful. And this voice in me was saying, Matthias, you're not able to do these videos, don't do them. You're not there yet. But then, when I continued to do them, I realized that it helped, helped me to focus. It helped me to share something with the world what I find valuable. And I started to establish an attitude of no matter what, I just do it. I don't care how I feel. And if I feel sick and bad and anxious, I still do them. And so doing this, with time, I felt I'm more able to do them. It got easier through consistency. And what I want to say is that not everyone has to become run a YouTube channel. You don't need to make these videos. To be creative can have many different levels, thousands of levels. But it's some kind of awareness. You reflect on yourself. Okay, I'm here right now, and at this point in my life, I feel anxiety, I feel symptoms, I feel that they get worse when I do certain things, and then I'm kind of back in this cycle easily. And sometimes we think we have to wait until it gets better, until we start to do things again. We have to figure out first, we have to manage first. And I believe that this isn't true, because at a certain stage we have to become proactive again. And there's such a wide range of possibilities, because we sometimes just see the gap. Means I see myself and I think I'm not working right now. No work for such an amount of time. And I think I have to work again. This is, I have to work. But then you see the gap and you see, oh my God, I'm not able to do these simple tasks in life again. So then it's so overwhelming. And then instead of starting with a few small steps, we end up in despair and self-pity and shame that we're not able to manage it. And then instead of doing these small steps, we do nothing, because we have the habit of seeing things this kind of way. So what to do? to realize that every small step of creating something is part of the recovery. And consistency is also part of the recovery. So it can mean many things. It can be a very simple start of I am cooking for myself each and every day. I cook for myself. And this is creative. And as soon as you make a project for you, this is so precious, because then, staying in this example, you cook for yourself. This is an act of compassion and self-love, and you choose the best ingredients you can find, or you try out new things, or you make a kind of ritual out of it. So you prepare everything nicely, you put on the candle when you when you eat. There are no limitations. You do nice things to yourself, you nourish yourself around your creativity. And these are things you can even do when you are still housebound. Little things make a big change, but consistent. And for some others who are a little bit further on the recovery path, it can be the decision to start exercising again. Little steps each and every day. 5 minutes more the next week. Now I start to walk a little bit faster. I do this for 1 week, and so on and so on. So this is also a kind of creativity. So what I want to point out here, it's not always these big tasks. Because if we think about the big tasks, about the big changes, we are easily end up paralyzed, and then in the end we do nothing. But through these little decisions, we build up some trust in us, some showing that we are capable, and so we build up some kind of a momentum. And this includes that when you do these things and you build them up, there will be some days you will have more success, and you will be proud of yourself immediately afterwards. You will say, yes, I've done it. And I also recommend to write these things down and look at them when you have a bad day. Write it down, and then you see, oh my God, 2 days ago I was able to do this, and despite the sensations, I was able to do it. And this is a very important process. So you can always, when you have your bad days, you can have a look back and say, wow, I was capable. And so to come back to my own potentials, and it doesn't matter if you find something new for yourself, if you find the most simple things, or whatever kind of new routine you're able to build up will serve you. And then you will make this shift from I was so much in despair in the thick of it, I always was looking out for the right answers and the right solutions, coming back to this scared me is making progress. And then confidence comes back, and self-respect comes back, and joy comes back too. because you start to celebrate your little successes. And out of little successes, there will become greater successes. And your brain is understanding, wow, he's capable, he's doing it. He's doing it no matter what. And then the nervous system can calm down because you are leading the way, you are showing the way. So in other words, in the mind-body scene, people talking about the amygdala hijack. So in other words, when we give all the, when we allow that the amygdala is running the show, is leading us, then it easily spirals. And then we come to this, end up in this victim mentality, despair. And our prefrontal cortex wants to rule things again. And it's not through pushing, but it's through retraining the brain that we decide what we want to do, and then we do it. So one of the things I liked in the past was playing billiard. And when you play billiard, you do something. You establish a certain habit, and the habit is very easy explained. So the player is standing on the table. He's seeing the whole scenery of the boards on the table, and then he chooses one ball, then he inhibits, and he kind of makes the clear decision, I'm going to put this ball into the hole, no matter what. And then with this kind of attitude, being focused on what he wants to do, he bends over, and he hits the ball. Does it always work? No. But in most cases, and the better you get in this principle, the more you make progress. So the other example would be, if you wouldn't do that, you would just go to the table, his mind would be all over the place, and for sure he would have less success in his playing. So what does it mean for us? It means like you are confronted with the time in your day, and we can make decisions. What do we want to do next? So what we are doing, we don't listen to the brain, we don't listen to the amygdala, because from there we always will just hear sounds like, don't do it, it's too dangerous, I'm exhausted, I have pains, don't do it, it's too dangerous, don't do it. So that's why it doesn't make sense to listen to this part. So we have to show it, and to show it means like, what is my next step? Let's say you feel lazy, you feel symptoms, you feel that you are ruminating all day long, and you're not really able to manage things. Then you could say, okay, what is the next thing I could do? And if it's cooking a meal, then decide to cook this meal no matter what, no matter how intense the symptoms are. You allow them to be there, but you don't allow them to be ruled by them. And what I suggest is to do it with a clear mindset, with a clear decision, and then you do it no matter what, no matter how intense your symptoms are. So what you're not doing, you don't suppress them, you don't ignore them, you don't um, um, you don't act as if they were not there. You just let them be there, and you do your thing because you made the decision before. So you will not stop in the middle and lay down on your bed and ask, why is it not working? Why don't I get better? And so on. You do it because you made the decision. And then there's the next task and the next task along your day. And this is how you rebuild your strength and your power. There's no other way. And we have to learn and to go through difficult moments and sensations. And it's really not about pushing through. When you feel you're pushing through, when you, for example, you feel anger inside and you think, I'm cleaning, I'm doing this meal. If you do it with this kind of attitude, it will not work. Register the emotion. Register, okay, I feel angry right now, so I let the anger be there. But don't allow the anger to cook your meal, for example, if that makes sense. So I'm going to end up here, and just to share that I find this aspect very important. Maybe it's overseen because we are so consumed by fixing our states and trying to get rid of it and so on. So I hope this makes some sense, and if you have liked this, then thumbs up please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Send it to people who might know it and might be helpful for them to have this content. And also, if you are interested in some personal support, you can send me an email on my webpage, and there's a formula, and I also offer a free first half an hour or so day to find out if this makes some sense to work together. So feel free to check this out too. And then I really hope that you will be able to implement some of the things you were listening. So take care.